Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Whether you're a high school student navigating the halls for the first time or really just someone curious about how the world works, we are about to go on a pretty fascinating journey. Today, we're tackling a massive question. How do our own individual, personal identities fit into the gigantic spinning gears of human society? We're going to take a really structured look at the science behind exactly who you are, how you fit in, and crucially, who gets to make the rules. It sounds like a lot to cover, I know, but don't worry, we're going to break it all down step by step. So let me ask you something. Really think about this for a second. Have you ever walked down your school hallway or maybe a super busy city street and just wondered why some people are completely fundamentally different from you? Like why they value totally different things, or speak differently, or dress in a way you literally never would? Well, our sources tell us that to really understand this, we have to look at our sociocultural backgrounds. This includes everything from your gender and age to your nationality, religion, and even your specific talents. It's basically this invisible framework that shapes every single one of us.
All right, let's just dive right into it. Section 1, the makeup of you. To understand human society as a whole, we actually have to start at the micro level, zooming all the way in on the absolute most basic unit of any society: you.
To start, we really need to talk about personal identity, which our sources simply define as how we see ourselves and how others see us. Now, your identity is split into two distinct categories: ascribed and achieved. Think of your identity like a giant backpack that you wear every single day. Ascribed identity, well, that consists of all the things that were packed into that backpack for you before you were even born. You didn't choose them, these are completely given traits. Things like your nationality, your biological sex, your ethnicity, and your first language. You just kind of arrived with them. But on the flip side, we have achieved identity. These are the things you actively choose to pick up and stuff into your backpack as you walk through life. This includes your future work role, your relationship status, your religious beliefs, and honestly, even the physical goods that you choose to buy. You are a totally unique combination of both the given and the chosen.
Okay, moving right along, let's see how this builds. Section 2, culture, family, and society. We are zooming out from your individual backpack to look at your immediate surroundings.
Because you don't just exist in a vacuum, right? You exist within a culture and a society. Our sources define culture as the ways of thinking, acting, and the material objects that together form a people's way of life. And that brings up one of the absolutely coolest concepts from our source data: material culture. See, culture isn't just invisible ideas floating around in the air. It is firmly anchored to physical things. Think about everyday objects, like an ID card or cash, the goods you buy, the clothes you wear to school, that smartphone sitting in your pocket. These are all material artifacts of your culture. They're physical objects that you actively use to signal your achieved identity to the rest of the world. But of course, culture is also made up of things you absolutely cannot touch. We call this non-material culture. This is stuff like family institutions, shared beliefs, and social relationships. Think of these invisible social structures as the rules of the game. You might not be able to physically hold a family institution in your hand the way you can hold a 20-peso bill, but these structures totally influence your daily actions, how you arrange your priorities, and the choices you make every single day. They're the shared values that actually motivate our behavior.
So we've looked at you and we've looked at your culture. Now we're going to zoom out even further to look at the massive societal gears that govern how we behave. Section 3, power, systems, and rules. Political science is formally defined as the study of systems of government, analyzing political activity, behavior, and power relations. Basically, if culture is the rules of the game, then political science is the study of who actually gets to make those rules. It explores the structures of political units and how different actors within a society relate to one another when it comes down to raw power.
So, what does this mean for us? The crucial takeaway here is that power dynamics aren't just abstract ideas for politicians in suits. They actively dictate a group's social status in everyday life. Think about it kind of like the social dynamics in a high school cafeteria, but blown up to a national scale. The government systems in place and the power relations that political scientists analyze actively determine which groups have influence, which have resources, and which have high social status, and which groups do not. And you better believe that directly impacts that backpack of personal identity we talked about earlier.
But here is the thing. Societies are never, ever static. They aren't frozen in time. They are constantly shifting, evolving, and transforming. Which brings us to Section 4, the triggers of change. Our sources identify specific triggers of social change. Basically, when a system is subjected to certain external or internal factors, it alters how the whole society functions.
Two major triggers highlighted here are rapidly advancing technology and international migration. Just think for a second about how the internet completely changed how we interact, or how the movement of people across borders brings entirely new cultures, ideas, and languages into a community. These triggers literally force the rules of the game to adapt. Let's ground this in a really concrete example. Think about Filipino women gaining the right of suffrage, which is the right to vote. This is a perfect textbook example of social and political change in action. Before this historical shift, the power dynamics we just talked about heavily restricted women's political voice. But by gaining the right to vote, their social status and their power relations within the government system fundamentally transformed. It's a really powerful reminder that the rules can and absolutely do change. All right, for our final zoom out, let's take a look at the people who actually dedicate their lives to studying all of this. Section 5, How Scientists Study Us. So how do experts even make sense of identity, culture, and power? They use specific academic lenses, which are collectively known as the social sciences. Our sources make a really great distinction right off the bat within the field of anthropology. Physical anthropology looks at humans as biological organisms, so our genetics, our evolution, our physiology. Cultural anthropology, on the other hand, looks at the patterns of life. It explains our human behavior within a social context. What's really fascinating here is that these two are deeply intertwined. The physical biology provides the necessary framework, right? But it's the cultural anthropology that paints the actual picture of how we live together. And finally, we have sociology. This is the study of human social relationships and institutions. It's all about understanding how human actions shape and are in turn shaped by the surrounding cultural structures. Sociology is basically the grand unifier. It takes totally diverse subjects, everything from crime to religion, from the family unit to the entire state, and it connects them all together. It helps us understand exactly how the individual choices you make are constantly influenced by the massive social structures built all around you. Wow, okay, we have covered a tremendous amount of ground today. It is time to lock it in with Section 6, Quick Knowledge Check. Get ready to test your memory, and honestly, feel free to just shout out the answers in your head.
Here is your first question. Which type of identity includes traits like your nationality or your very first language? Think back to the very beginning of our explainer. Is it the identity you actively choose or the one that's given to you?
Did you guess it? The answer is ascribed identity. Remember that backpack analogy? These are the given traits that were packed for you before you were even born, given without any choice on your part at all. If you got that right, fantastic job. Okay, moving on to question number 2. We talked about how societies are never static. So according to our sources, what are 2 major triggers of social change? What are those massive external or internal factors that alter how society functions? And the answers are rapidly advancing technology and international migration. These incredibly modern factors are constantly reshaping the invisible rules of our societal game, which really proves that culture and society are always a work in progress.
And that brings us to the end of our explainer. But before you go, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. How will your own social identity change in the next 10 years? What brand new, achieved identities are you going to choose to put into your backpack? And how will advancing technology alter the cultural structures all around you? Because remember, you aren't just some passive observer sitting in society, you are an active participant shaping it every single day. Keep asking questions, keep observing the world around you, and never stop learning. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.